I have no clue.
Oh, here we go.
Looks like I'm live.
There we go.
I haven't seen it pop up on Facebook yet.
Oh, I can see the TAA logo now. That's cool.
Hey, you're live, man. It's on. I've got my computer or my phone right here. I'm gonna hit play.
Blue. Oh, here we go.
A little delay, so we're a little bit of a delay here. But hey, if you guys are watching, it's Jay Cash, auctioneer. I'm in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I'm joined with Shane Mccarrell. I believe he's in Adams, Tennessee. And we got Jason Deel. He's over in, I'm going to say Knoxville. I don't know where specifically you are, but we're checking this out, just going live on the auctioneers page. Of course, Shane and I are both board of directors members of the TAA. And we had a conference call earlier this week trying to figure out how we can stay more in touch with our members across the state. So here we are. I've got my phone open. So if you've got questions or want to comment, you can comment on there. We've never done this before, so if it doesn't, if there's a lag or we're not responding to questions, sorry, don't know how to do that. But Shane, you and I were on a conference call earlier this week, and pretty much all across the state, we're all trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. I know I haven't had a live auction. Last one I had was not last weekend or the week before last, and haven't done it since. You guys have both had some online auctions. Shane, what do you got going on over there near Clarksville?
Well, we had two or three live auctions, one of which was a rather large consignment auction, all of which have been indefinitely postponed in accordance with all the local mandates here. And of course, we've currently, because we've just been blessed and be lucky enough to have an online business model, we're still kind of rolling ahead with the online auctions here in Montgomery County and surrounding areas. As of yesterday, our local mayor, both county and city mayor, did put a shelter at home order and essential business only. Luckily, we kind of fall within that essential business, but we will be doing some creative things here just to keep the business going. And as you said, on that telephone call, there was a significant amount of concern throughout the state of Tennessee where there's just, there's some big changes that are going to have to be made over the next couple of months if this sustains. So, like you said, we wanted to reach out as board of directors and also bring in Jason, who is just doing more business than you could imagine out there, both live and online, both traditional real estate. So ultimately, it's just important for us to kind of get the word out there to the members to let them know they have good leadership. They also have a strong membership that they can depend on if there's anything we can do for them during these times.
No, I agree. This kind of hit everybody. One common thread that everyone I've talked to across the state or throughout the country on the NAA platforms is nobody really has any clue. We've never been through this before, never seen it before, and I think it's caused a lot of people to step back and realize maybe they weren't quite as prepared or weren't ready for something like this to hit their business. There's probably things everybody would have done differently. At the end of last year, we had our last auction in Chattanooga, and I decided then and there I want to buy a new auction topper and truck. So I started 2020 off with a brand new topper and a brand new truck to do all of our live auctions. And yeah, we're not getting to use it that much, but it's really nice, and I can't wait to use it. JD, I know you've just been adding people to your company. It just seems like it's growing every week. There's more people there, more auctions. You're adding online, but what's going on over there on the east side of the state?
Yeah, Jay, thanks. It's crazy. By the way, it looks like we're getting some viewers on here. We're up to a little over 30, so that's kind of neat. Just as this was hitting, we brought on a full-time videographer. I brought on a full-time operations manager, and we had three more team members that are estate specialists and two other realtors. It's all happened in like the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, I guess. Much like Shane, we had probably one of the largest auctions of my career scheduled. Definitely over $1 million auction was set to go May the 2nd, moving right down the road. And of course, this hit. And we've since pushed that to August. And I'll tell you, though, the people are still dying, right? Probate's still happening. Businesses are still needing our help. So I think we've got 11 auctions online right now. We had 2 close out last weekend. And Shane and I were having this conversation, I think, was it yesterday or today, Shane? I don't know. The days are running together. But bidders were strong. Prices were strong. And we've got the scheduled pickup. I think most people now are aware of Sign Up Genius. We've been doing that for about 3 years, and obviously utilize the 10-foot rule and no more than 10 people. And people appreciate that, wearing gloves and hand sanitizer. But a lot of activity happening right now. I just had a pawn shop call, and they're closing. They're closing their doors after 35 years. A little bit related to the coronavirus, but also it's just kind of, I think, time for them to retire. So we'll be working on that starting next week.
Earlier
Busy
this
times.
week, we had this is on the Tennessee Auctioneers page, so we're here to protect and promote the auction industry in Tennessee, and obviously all of our business pages. So we probably have customers and clients watching too. But earlier this week, Shane, you were talking about a lot of auctioneers not prepared to be online right now. Don't even have that as an option. But now we're finding ourselves in a situation where you better get used to it, because having an auction on site just doesn't seem to be the responsible thing to do right now. What have you done as far as other auctioneers and getting them set up? What advice do you give somebody?
Well, I had this discussion today with a veteran NAA member. It's not the time to have the debate between if online's the way to go or if it's the way to the future. Because anybody who's spent any time with me knows that I'm a huge advocate of the live auction and the live auction bid call specifically. But hey, look, at this given moment in this particular society, a lot of folks had been resistant in the past. And I think now is your opportunity during this downtime to reach out to somebody, to embrace the online platform, regardless of if you plan on using it in the future or not. The truth is you can look at businesses throughout the country, including the state of Tennessee, that are still are benefiting from online platforms. I don't want to say we're thriving, because I think the live auction and the online auction is what gets us to that real point of thriving within the industry. But after being on that Zoom call the other day, I was reached, 3 people reached out to me throughout the country, and I've kind of just helped them make decisions. And the same thing I want to do with the Tennessee Auctioneers Association. And to be quite honest with you, I don't care if you're a member of the association or not. If you're an auctioneer, I'd be glad to help you. Of course, I'll talk your ear off and try to get you to be a member of both the state association and the national association. But that transition's not as difficult as people think it is. There's a lot that goes into picking which platform you're going to use, which asset classes you're going to sell. But like JD just mentioned with a pawn shop, we've had those similar phone calls. If they're not going out of business, they need to create revenue. And the easiest way for them to create revenue, if they do not have their own e-commerce platform, is for you as the professional to go in there and professionally catalog and inventory their merchandise, properly market it, properly promote it, and distribute their assets throughout the country to get them a revenue going, because that's what small businesses throughout the United States need, and specifically throughout Tennessee. So I'd be glad to help you, regardless of if you're married to a specific platform or not. I've used just about all of them. I'd help you any way that we can. And I know that a bunch of the other members that are, that have been doing online for longer than I have would be willing to help you as well.
Yeah, it's amazing for anybody that's a member and they came to our association convention in November of last year. You know that we've got a lot of work on the state level where the auction laws have changed that regulate online auctions and what regulates live auctions. A little bit of overlap there, didn't all jive up. So they passed some laws where online auctions are now regulated in the state of Tennessee if they have an extended closing or a soft closing. I know that's what I do, and I've always done just a soft closing. JD, you probably are soft closing only. I don't know why. I don't really know why you would do it any other way. But we've always said that we believe online auctions have a place in everywhere. It's definitely, you need to utilize it. You'd be crazy if you're not utilizing online auctions. We just feel like they need to be regulated and governed. And Shane, what's the current status on that right now? As far as, are they regulated or not, timed auctions or soft auctions?
Yeah, I mean, and JD's just as much of an expert as anybody is on this. I've sat through just about every meeting that's happened at the Tennessee Auctioneers Commission, as well as sat in and watched a lot of the task force stuff from last year when that task force was formed. But essentially, at this point, my understanding is that if it's an online auction within the state of Tennessee that has a hard close, which means that it does not offer that extended bidding, unfortunately, right now there's not a governing body to include the Tennessee Auctioneers Commission that are responsible for any of those actions. And it's a good time to mention that, Jay. You know, us not being attorneys, we got to kind of be careful what we say. But I would know that as a professional group of auctioneers, if this gets out to any consumers, you know, this particular circumstance goes over another 90 days. There could be some pop-up online auction companies that come through your town or come through your city or come through the state of Tennessee. And I always want to urge consumers to do their research. Make sure the company in which you're utilizing to sell some of your most valuable assets ever is governed by somebody. The Tennessee Auctioneer Commission, is ultimately our governing body for extended time auctions because we hold that license. They're going to be the ones that you can go to if you have any complaints. That gives the consumer a little bit of protection, actually a lot of protection, to allow that there's a body there for them to place a grievance. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in small claims court. So currently, if you're going to utilize an auction company, just do your research. Make sure they're professionals. Make sure that they're licensed. Get some references from them. Make sure they're members of the National Auctioneers Association, the Tennessee Auctioneers Associations. Maybe they've gone and did some additional continuing education. Got some of the great achievements that you can get through the National Auctioneers Association. But currently, that's where we're at. I mean, if it's an extended time auction within the state of Tennessee, it is legal and it is governed. And if it's a fixed time auction that has a hard close, you're pretty much dealing with a tag sale company at that point.
Amen to that. Very important. JD, earlier this week, you and Shane were on a webinar with 300 auctioneers across the country, and you had spoke on right now is an important time where there's restaurants going to be going out of business, there's gyms, there's businesses, everybody, and we're a resource there to help people. How do you position yourself, or what are you telling your clients just to stay relevant right now when you can't go out and meet them in person? And obviously you've got people coming to you, and that's the great part, but to go out and promote, you love to go out and shake hands and stuff. What are you saying to folks to let them know you're there and able to help them?
Yeah, Jay, content's king right now, period. End of story, end of discussion. It's great that we're doing auctions. And if you do not have auctions to do, you need to be building content about what your professional service can provide. Shane said something a few minutes ago when we were talking about a pawn shop. You were talking about an e-commerce platform. They may or may not have an e-commerce platform. It's an easy discussion to talk to them about. Here is things that you can help them implement. Be an asset to whatever business that is, and not an ambulance chaser. That's not what we're doing right now. You've got to be able to publish content to know and understand what an auction, and it's so simple to do. I said it on that call. Everybody's got a smartphone, Jay. It's easy to set up your phone and record and talk about what auction services we can provide throughout the community. Now, we've had 4 separate local businesses come in on our podcast. We've got a podcast called Knoxville Business Show. Check it out. And we're just talking about their business. And oh yeah, by the way, when we're off screen, we're talking about how we can help improve their business. We're sharing business ideas right now. And that's what it's about. I mean, right now, Jay, this is about the community. Right? That's what we're about. We're not necessarily about building your auction company up. It's about how can we help the community. And the number one way we can do that, read what Facebook and Instagram's putting out about how numbers are soaring with online screen time right now. It is absolutely through the roof because people are on social media. They've been on social media. This is not, I've heard time and time again that the online auction is the wave of the future. It's not the wave of the future. We've been there for a long time. So you've got to, all we're doing right now is what Netflix CEO said, is he's competing for attention. That's all we're doing, is we're competing for attention. And to get the attention of the consumer, as well as the attention of our clients, is we've got to be on social media. We got to be pushing content, and it's not quality over quantity right now. Let me make that very clear. Don't worry about quality content that you're putting. It's about quantity, and it's about how you can help the community and local businesses. So that's what we're focused on, Jay. I mean, we're fortunate to be doing auctions, but I'm focused on the business itself and figuring out how we can reach out and help.
Amen to that. April 3rd, we've got our proclamation from the governor. Nashville still reeling from tornadoes. Patty Baldini, our president, her entire building was nearly wiped away. It's in just shambles if you haven't seen it on Facebook, but still she was able to get the governor to proclaim April 3rd as Auctioneers Day here in Tennessee. And I think that's something we all can post and share. It's going to be on the TAA Facebook page where you can share the proclamation from Bill Lee, and definitely let people know that it's still relevant. You can still have an auction. It's never been easier to bid online. Matter of fact, you guys helped collaborate with an online auctions bidding strategy book that we all put out, and I'm going to post that on the auctioneers, the Tennessee Auctioneers page, where you can share that with your customers. Let them know how easy it is to bid, and eventually we should get back on the other side of this. We're going on about 20 minutes here. Shane, is there anything you'd wrap up here, and we'll let this first little podcast webisode here on the Auctioneers page wrap up? What would you add?
Yeah, well, I first to start, thanks for JD just jumping on. We just called him. Actually, Jay called him. Jay and I have been talking about doing this, and as long as the rest of the board approves and gives us a heads up, we'd like to invite other professionals within the Tennessee Auctioneers Association on, maybe daily, weekly, biweekly, whatever Jay decides he wants to do. But Tommy Anderson mentioned something, Jay, in the feed of my watch party that I did, and I want to just elaborate on what JD said. Of the 4 or 5 Zoom calls I've been on over the last couple of days, one of the most important things that anybody said is about positioning. And I think that this particular time within our industry, it's really important. And it's just an elaborating on what JD said. We need to position ourselves in the industry right now. We need to be reaching out and making phone calls right now. We need to be marketing ourselves as the experts in the health and wellness department. We need to be marketing ourselves in the commercial real estate department, because from what I'm hearing, some universities may not be going back to being as big and as powerful as they were before. You need to be marketing yourself within the gym equipment market, and you need to be doing that by reaching out and talking to folks and letting them know how you can help them now, okay? Because those people are going to need somebody in the future. All your probate attorneys, all your bankruptcy attorneys, all your restaurant folks, they all need somebody. If you wait until the boom hits when this is over with, you're going to look like an ambulance chaser. You're going to look desperate, and you're not going to be the leader in your community that professional auctioneers are supposed to be. Everybody in our communities look for us for advice on every asset, from a silver dollar to their most important asset of real estate. So if you don't have any auctions to do, that doesn't mean you don't have a way to help and build the auction community as a profession. So that's what I would urge you to do. If you're not doing something, you're wrong. Please be positioning yourself throughout your community and helping folks when they need it. Don't call them and ask them what you can sell for them. Call them and ask them how you can help them. If that means you're just going to, cut some weeds on the fence row, that's fine, because that's going to turn into you selling that farm 10 years from now and helping somebody through a tough time.
JD, what would you sum up here?
Well, Jay, first of all, thank you very much for putting this on. I think it's very helpful for us to share ideas. And, I'll tell you, we're in such a unique position right now that I think a lot of people, a lot of auction owners, a lot of auctioneers don't really realize the impact that we're about to have, or that we can have right now, and we're about to have in the future. The spring rush, I talked about it in one of the podcasts I did. The spring rush is coming. It's going to be delayed a little bit, so understand that. Be watching what your end users are doing, and I'm going to say it again: content is king. Push the content. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and talk to the attorneys and talk to the business owners, and just be helpful. Be there for other people. That's the most important thing right now.
Hey, I think that's great. We all believe in the auction profession. That's why we're on here. If you're watching this feed and you haven't been a part, or you haven't seen any kind of live streams or Zooms of any kind, you're missing out. I've never felt more connected with auctioneers all across the country. But right now there's Zoom calls daily. There's auctioneers talking. I've talked to several people just on the telephone, asking me, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you having a live auction this weekend?" And overwhelmingly, no, nobody's having live auctions. And I don't know if the board has an official stance on it, but more or less it's a little bit inappropriate right now to have a live auction. But just as some auctioneers would say, and I agree with them, we have to do what's best for our sellers. And sometimes postponing that auction isn't the right thing. It's not inappropriate if you're having an auction right now and it's live and on site. And that's what's the best for your seller right now. I know in Rutherford County, I don't know if it's in your counties, but real estate has been deemed an essential service. And certainly when we're selling real estate, so far they've all been on site. We are adding simulcast as an asterisk there, but we believe everybody deserves to get information, and that's why we put this together. But if this is the first time you've seen a stream, you're missing out. Get on the NAA page. They're putting stuff out constantly. There's a lot of auctioneers that are hosting webinars and things, and there's a lot of good information there. You're not alone. We're all in this together. We're going to come out. We're going to all come out better on the other end right now, because the one thing we can all be doing is bettering ourselves, learning information, critiquing our websites, putting out content. A lot of things we can do right now because we can't get out and do anything else. Got a lot of people watching. I hate to log off right now, but we're already at the 20-minute mark. I hate to take any more. I'm scared to death. Baby Perry's going to run in here and want to go ride horses or something. But thanks for watching. We're going to do it again
Jay.
soon. Yes.
Patty told me earlier today, Friday, there'll be a newsletter coming out. It's going to have some great information in it. So tell everybody, you guys make sure you keep an eye on your inbox. The TAA is going to put out a very informative kind of COVID-19 strategic newsletter. So be checking that out. I know she left a Zoom call we were on earlier. She left it early so she could finish the newsletter.
Hey, thanks. We've got several board members watching. James Gary, you've got Bobby Colson, Terry Walker. She's going to be the next NAA president. I know we had several more watching, a lot of members on here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all soon.